Hi there and welcome. It's Jennifer McGuire. So today I'm not doing a technique video. I usually try to stick to techniques, but instead today I'm just going to do a video where I'm creating a bunch of cards and also see if you'll join me in a little bit of a challenge. I'm probably guessing that others of you out there feel a little discouraged sometimes by the way things are going in this world and the lack of kindness there seems to be. Now, I don't know. I don't know that I can make a huge impact in this world. However, I do have one superpower, and my superpower is card making. So I decided to use this superpower to make the biggest impact I can. And I think the best way for me to do this is to share cards with people who just might need a pick-me-up. So these could be complete strangers. They could be teachers at your kid's school or at another school that you don't even know. They could be the mailman. They could be anybody at all. So what I decided to do was make a bunch of cards today, and I'm going to give them out to different people. And I'll probably share on Instagram who they're all going to go to. But the point of it is I wanted to see if you guys would join me in this challenge. If you would make any kind of card, any card you want at all, and give it to somebody that you really don't know well. And if you could use the hashtag #ShareHandmadeKindness, I will watch on Instagram and see what you guys are sharing. And I'll probably pick some winners from what I see of some prizes. Also, if you don't do Instagram, you can email me any cards that you make. I would love to see them. This is just a way that we can use our superpower of card making to make others happy or spread some kindness. So please join me. I'm going to make some cards today using some great products, and I'm hoping that they'll inspire you to do the same. So a few weeks ago, I was talking to my friend Aaron Leventhal, he owns Hero Arts, about how I really wanted to make more cards for people in the community just to spread more kindness. He was really excited by this idea and agreed to do this large 6x8 stamp set. We worked on this together and came up with sentiments that we felt were great for strangers or encouragement to people in our community, or you can use them for families and friends. Feel like there's some sentiments in here that were kind of missing in the stamp market. I'm really excited about it. This set is called You Are Loved, and a part of the proceeds from this stamp set go to the Kind campaign, which is an organization working to end bullying. So it seemed like the perfect collaboration. So I didn't get paid to do this set. This was just something that Aaron and I really wanted to do. And there are so many encouragement messages. I encourage you to take a closer look at it and see just how many things are in here that can be used for your card making. So I'm going to be using these sentiments today, along with some other products from some of my other favorite companies. So enough blabbing. I'll tell you, that all sounded better in my head than it did in the voiceover, but I hope you get the point. Okay, so here is the card I'm going to start with today. These are products from Concord and Ninth. Concord and Ninth is a good friend of mine and of Hero Arts, so it seemed to make sense to use them together. I'm going to start out by creating that colorful background that you see. I use the Concord and Ninth Oh Hello Turnabout stamp. This is neat because you stamp it 4 times in 4 different colors, but rotate it each time you stamp it. I recently did a video with the triangle turnabout. I'll link to that here, and I really liked it, so I was excited about this background. They now offer a key on these stamp sets to help you line them up so you can position them just right. So just follow along with me. It'll make sense, I promise, in the end. Now, one time only, the first time you do this, you need to create a turntable or a jig, whatever you want to call it, out of cardstock or chipboard. You want to cut it to be 6 by 6 inches, and you want to create an X connecting the corners. This helps you to find the center point, and it'll help you line up this stamp perfectly. Next, I'm going to take the turnabout stamp off of its backing, so I just have the stamp itself. Now you'll notice there are some sentiments in this. There were some open areas, so Concord and Ninth filled it with some additional sentiments that you can use on your card. You can see them here. I didn't use those today, but it's great that they offer that too. So now what I'm going to do is take my clear stamp. It's just the stamp, no backer sheet or anything, just the stamp itself, and I'm going to lay it down onto that little square key on the packaging. So as you watch through that, in that little square there, I'm lining up the word hi and also the bottom of the hello there on the left. Once I lined it up, I'm taking something straight, I'm just using the edge of my cardstock, and I'm drawing a black line onto the back of the stamp with a black Sharpie. So there's a black line on the packaging that I'm following, and I'm just drawing right onto the back of my stamp. This does not harm your stamp, it's okay to do. It's on the back side of the stamp, so we're good. Now I'm going to draw the other diagonal line. So I'm going to take that red and again trace the diagonal line that they have on the packaging. So I'm basically putting an X on the back of my stamp. And that X connects in the center point of the stamp. So now we have a center point on our red jig, and we have a center point on our stamp. Now this seems a little confusing, but you only have to do it once. Once you've done this, it'll be easy going from now on anytime you want to use this stamp. Okay, so now I have my jig and my MISTI stamping tool. I can line the stamp up easily. I just align one X up with the other X. Once I have it lined up perfectly, I close the door on my MISTI and it transfers the stamp, and now it's perfectly placed. And I can do my turnabout with no problems. So now I can temporarily adhere any size piece of cardstock into this red jig, and I will be able to do this technique. I actually adhered it off-center just to show you it doesn't matter where you put it. The piece of white cardstock I used is actually 5.5 by 4 1/4. So now that I have that in place in my MISTI, I can start my stamping. Now I picked 4 different colors. You can do any color combination you want. The first color I have is a Lawn Fawn mint color. It gives a nice kind of minty pool color. And since I'm using my MISTI, I'm going to go ahead and double stamp everything. The reason I'm doing this is I wanted to make the colors a little more intense, but not too intense. So I started with a soft color and just double stamped it. Now you really do need to use a stamping tool like the MISTI for this. I think it's very important to get it lined up. But if you're really precise, you could probably use this turnabout stamp without it. Okay, so now I just turned it one rotation, and it's time to stamp again, but in a different color. This time I'm using a dusty blue color from Hero Arts, and again, I'm going to double stamp it. Now by just doing that one rotation, I'm stamping in a different part of the background. You could stop here if you wanted to and have some open areas, but I'm going to move on and fill all the areas. So I rotated it again, just one turn, and I'm going to move on to another color. This is soft granite, and again, I will double stamp it. So you can see every time you turn it, you're filling in more of the areas, and you can always stop at any time. Okay, so now one more turn. You watch me turn right here, and now I'm going to add a celery color from Lawn Fawn. Now you always want to be sure that you put your jig or your red turntable right into the corner every time, and it'll line up perfectly with no problem. So next time you want to use this stamp, you just grab that red jig and grab your stamp, line up that X, and you're good to go. So there we have a background. I actually created a bunch with this because I loved it so much. And I did some in another color combination here. For this one, I used the celery from Lawn Fawn, soft vanilla from Hero Arts, pale tomato from Hero Arts, and soft granite from Hero Arts. Just wanted to show you another combination. I also made a few backgrounds using the new Concord and 9th Dotty turnabout. That's another new stamp like this. So now they have 3 different ones. And I wanted to show you again how I lined it up on the back of the packaging to get that X. So I've lined it up in that square, just line the dots up. And I use a straight edge to draw a diagonal line exactly where they do on the key. And now I'm going to do the other diagonal line. And again, I'm writing right on the back of the stamp, but I'd only have to do this once and I'm good to go. So now I can take my MISTI, put that same jig that I used before in, line up the X's between the stamp and the jig, close it in the MISTI, and we're ready to go and start stamping away on this. So once you create one jig, you're good to go with all the different turnabout background stamps. I just think these background stamps are fun because they offer so many different variations and different ways to do this and any colors you want. But if you don't have a stamp like this, you could always use any background stamp for these cards. You could also repeatedly stamp a sentiment if you wanted to. And here is what this Dotty turnabout looks like if you do it 4 times in 4 different colors. It's really fun. I actually didn't use this background because Lila hijacked it and used it on a card for herself. Okay, so now that I have a bunch of backgrounds ready, I'm going to go ahead and turn these into cards of kindness. I decided that the globe was perfect to go with these sentiments, so I used the Concord and 9th Globe Greeting stamp set. This is a big stamp set with lots of great sentiments and globe images. I really am most excited about the world's best, and then you can stamp friends, sister, mom, dad, brother, anything you want underneath it. I think that could be used for many different cards. But today I just decided to use the globe and the stand itself. So I'm going to stamp a bunch of globes. I'm doing this in my MISTI just to save me time, but you can use an acrylic block. I have like a pool colored cardstock here, and I'm stamping these with Versamark ink. And then I'm going to heat emboss it with a Hero Arts satin embossing powder. It's like a pearl embossing powder. So what happens is when you heat set this, it kind of looks metallic or pearl of whatever color's behind it. And I'll show you a close-up look in a moment. But first I wanted to add a little distress ink to the edge to make it pop. So this is the distress ink in Evergreen Bow, and I'm adding it with an ink blending tool just along the edges. It really helps to make that pearl embossing powder pop a bit. This is what the embossing powder looks like. I did some on gray so you could see that the powder picks up the color of whatever cardstock is behind it and gives it a pearly or metallic look that is gorgeous. I decided to also do a few cards with butterflies on them. So I'm showing you the accents that I'm creating right now, then we'll put them into a card. So I have these butterflies from Waffle Flower. These are new Waffle Flower dies, and I cut them from some dark peach colored cardstock. I wanted to give them that pearly embossed look, so I'm pressing my Versamark ink pad right onto the top of the die cut, and then I'm adding that pearl embossing powder. So this embossing powder looks white, but when it is heat set, it gives a pearl color or a pearl tint to it. So it picks up whatever color cardstock you have behind it. Now, before I heat set those, I'm going to create a few more embellishments and then heat them all at once. So for some of the cards, I'm using this U that you see here. This is from Concord and Ninth All About You die set. It has some words in there, some cursive words like celebrate and thank that team up nicely with the U. But I'm only using the word U itself. And I cut 3 little hearts for the center of the O. They have a few different options you can do. So I'm pressing Versamark ink on the top of these. I die cut these from dark gray cardstock and added that pearl embossing powder. And now that I have them all covered with the powder, I'm going to heat set them all at once. This saves me a lot of time because I can let my gun get good and hot before I emboss them. So that's why I put the powder on all of them first and then heat set them all at once. Now for the butterflies, I wanted some of that peach colored cardstock behind it. So I just glued it down onto some peach cardstock and I'm trimming out around it. So you can see the true peach color in the center and then the pearly on the die cut that we added. Okay, so now that I have my embellishments done, it's time to go ahead and put these cards together. I'm going to go back to the globe one. I trimmed that hello background that we created down to about 4 by 5.5. So I just trimmed a little bit off the side. And now I have the globe stand that I am stamping with Versamark ink onto kind of the bottom left of this panel. And I'm going to silver heat emboss this with some Hero Arts powder. And I did that to all of the cards that I'm creating with the globe. Now I decided to put some foam tape on the back of the globe just to pop it up from the card a bit. Now I actually am going to hand deliver most of these cards, so I really could go crazy with the dimension, but I decided to keep it simple. Now for the sentiment strip, I die cut from vellum this Simon Says Stamp stitched banner. It has a little faux stitching around the edge that's awesome. So I'm stamping a sentiment with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to white heat emboss it. This is regular white embossing powder. And this sentiment is from that Hero Arts You Are Loved stamp set that I showed you at the beginning of this video. After that cooled, I wanted to add 3 little hearts perfectly spaced right to the left of the sentiment. But I was having trouble getting them spaced just right. So I used from that Concord and Ninth All About You die set the 3 little hearts that are connected, the die, and I die cut it from the peach colored cardstock. And I'm using it as like a template to put the 3 hearts in place. And then I remove the template, and there we have our 3 hearts perfectly spaced. Now I'm hiding some strong liquid adhesive behind the hearts and some of the embossing so that I can adhere it to my card without seeing the adhesive. You could put adhesive on the back of the entire piece and you won't see it, but I like that it's kind of floating there. I also put some shimmer with a Wink of Stella pen onto each of the hearts and covered it with glossy accents so it dries with dimension and shimmer. So there you can see the detail of the final card. That sentiment has got to be one of my favorite. I don't know that there's a better sentiment to show someone kindness. Okay, now for the butterfly cards, I want to show you how those came together. So I die cut a vellum banner strip. It's from that same die set that I showed you, but just a bit wider banner. And I have my butterfly that I've put adhesive on the back of. I white heat embossed on one of the smaller banners a sentiment from that same You Are Loved Hero Arts stamp set. And I'm going to glue that on top of the butterfly and then add that onto the card. So you can see that beautiful pearly shine that we have on the butterfly and such a great sentiment there also. I also added that sentiment on all the envelopes that I used for today's cards. And last but not least, the You Make This World a Better Place. This one uses the Concord and Ninth All About You dies that I showed you I covered with that pearl embossing powder. Now this die actually cut the U and the outline of U. So what I'm doing is I'm putting adhesive on the back of the U, and I'm putting foam tape towards the top of the die cut and regular adhesive towards the bottom because it's sitting on this popped up sentiment strip that I've already added to the card. Now I'm putting glue on the outline, and I'm going to add that right onto it and also add some red hearts into the center of the O. So I did white heat emboss a sentiment from that Hero Arts You Are Loved stamp set underneath it on that mint little banner. And again, I'm using Wink of Stella shimmer and glossy accents on the hearts. So there you have another option. This one uses that Dotty turnabout background stamp. So there are a bunch of cards that I made for people in my community. I'm going to have fun passing these out with my kids. So what I'm doing is I'm hoping that somebody out there will join me in creating cards for people they don't know or people they don't know well, and use the hashtag #ShareHandmadeKindness when you share it on any social media so that I can try to find it, or you can email me anything that you create. I'd love to see it. I know that making cards and giving cards is such a little thing. However, it can make a great impact on somebody's day, and that is so important. So please join me in using your superpower of card making to spread some kindness. If you're interested in the supplies that I use, they're linked below in my YouTube description, but please go to my blog for a closer look at the different sentiments I used on these cards. I have lots of photos there. Thanks again for sticking with me through my blabbing today and my speedy video. I appreciate you spending time here, and I hope to see you soon.